Not surprisingly, the coronavirus pandemic has left its mark. Based on a survey of over 12,000 business leaders from 127 countries, the report has unemployment top of the list. Now, just like previous reports, like the one from the International Labour Organization, massive job losses due to the pandemic are expected to negatively impact business for the next 10 years. Now, fiscal issues, until recently the main risk factors, dropped into third position, followed by cyber attacks and social instability. The report is part of the Global Risk Initiative, which aims to find sustainable solutions for global environmental challenges. And that, of course, also includes the impact of a pandemic. Now, for more, I'm joined now by the Managing Director of the World Economic Forum, Sadia Zahidi, in Geneva. And there she is. Good to have you with us. Tell me, given that the coronavirus pandemic led to various lockdowns, is the outcome of this report, the result of it, does that come as a surprise to you?
You know, it's not really a surprise in the sense that the spread of infectious diseases rates #2 globally. It's amongst the highest rated risks across East Asia, Eurasia, Europe. So not surprising in the sense that the pandemic has had that impact. But what we are starting to see is, as business leaders look out to the next year or so, they're starting to think about what are the knock-on effects that will create further risks. And clearly, unemployment and job losses is one very large risk that comes to the surface. Cyber attacks are another large risk that comes to the surface. And not surprising, because they're very much the result of the highly digital economy we now live in the case of cyber attacks, and in the case of unemployment, all of the displacement that has taken place due to the lockdowns, which is then further compounded by automation of work.
But report even says, you mentioned the knock-on effect of the pandemic, especially for the jobs market, and those business leaders expect this knock-on effect to last for at least 10 years. Where is that figure coming from? That's a long time.
No, I think this is where they're starting to factor in other aspects beyond the lockdowns themselves. I think we're starting to see now a sense of this recession may take longer to get out of, or there might be that K-shaped recovery that many are talking about, where for some parts of the workforce and some parts of the economy, it will be possible to have a relatively fast recovery. And then for a very large part, it may not be possible. And again, not surprisingly, the the fifth risk globally is profound social instability. And I think that's what they're starting to factor into their assessment.
All right, so this K-shaped recovery quite clearly leading to more inequality, something that we've been struggling with even before the pandemic. The report provides a special look at regional risk factors. How do they differ, if there's any difference at all?
So certainly infectious diseases across Eurasia, Europe, across most of East Asia and the Pacific. But then unemployment, underemployment are the biggest concerns in South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. And I think this is not surprising that in the emerging parts of the world, where there has been less fiscal stimulus, less room from governments to be able to provide support, to protect jobs, to provide workers with support when they're out of a source of income, in those parts of the world, unemployment and underemployment is an even bigger concern than it is in most advanced economies.
And in quite a few of those regions that you just mentioned, of course, climate change, the impact of climate change is also something to think about. And interesting enough, the worry about climate change has somewhat dropped in that latest report of yours. Does that worry you?
So I think it's interesting. This is really looking at what are the views of business leaders as the top risks to getting business done. And you're starting to see, yes, that climate change is within the top 20, but towards the bottom of that top 20, yet very specific risks are actually rising in their assessment. So businesses are starting to get deeply concerned about specific aspects of the climate risk when they're looking at their ability to be able to do business. So biodiversity loss and ecosystem collapse, that's up 8 ranks. Natural catastrophes up 7 ranks, extreme weather events up 5 ranks. So I think they're really starting to build that into their own assessment for their ability to get things done.
All right, well, there's a beam of hope then there. Sadia Zahida, thank you so much for your time. Sadia Zahidi there from the World Economic Forum. Thank you.
Thank you.